first-degree murder, when you aid and abet someone, that under felony murder constitutes first-degree murder. You know, you're going to charge somebody with second-degree murder and charge their compliance also with second-degree murder. You charge them all with first-degree murder. If you go and rob a store and it's 5 of you and one of you kill the person in the store in the robbery, when you get arrested, every one of you is charged with felony murder. You didn't stop the man from shooting the person in the store or stop the robbery. So you was there as a participant, you automatically get the same sentence and the same charges under the same conviction. Now, if you charge these police officers correctly, which they done already started telling how Chobis, what type of a guy he was or whatever his name is. But when you charge these officers correctly, you can always take one officer and make a plea deal because he'll testify. He'll testify about all of the other activities that this officer done that was illegal. Even though they only been on the job about 3 days, but they still seen more than 3 days of activity that was illegal. My problem is that George Ford was murdered in first degree. And Chief Ellison, who is the district attorney in the state of Minnesota, going to come back. Yeah, he upgraded from third degree, then going to come back with second degree. Then on top of that, he's going to continually talk about why it is so difficult to prosecute police officers. If it's difficult, make it undifficult. It's only difficult to you because you are nothing like Kwame Rasul or anything like George McMahon. You think it wasn't difficult for them to prosecute a police officer for shooting a boy in the back 16 times? They said he shot him in the back 16 times in 15 seconds. But those prosecutors came back and gave him a 6-count indictment for murder. Not just charge him under 1 count for murder, they charge him under a 6-count indictment. Charge him with the murder, charge him with using the firearm to commit the murder. You know, if you've been to law school and you got this job as Attorney General, you should at least know this. If you don't, you go look in one of the books. I'll mail it to you. So now, if you know this, and you should know this, they know it, and they went ahead and prosecuted this police officer. They didn't say it's going to be difficult. No, it ain't going to be difficult because we got the evidence. You know? No, they've been getting off too often. We're going to make sure they don't. Let me say something else. One of the reasons why, Chicago, this particular group of attorneys are doing pretty good because they all are part of an organization in Chicago called the Police Accountability Act, which is part of the University of Chicago. The Police Accountability Act was started by a guy by the name of Albert Howard. Albert Howard started this organization in Chicago. It's called the Police Accountability Act. Now, when Albert Howard started this, he got students from law schools and everything to get involved and have police become responsible and have an accountability clinic. It's called the Police Accountability Clinic. It's like a clinic, but it's an organization that was started by Albert Howard. And Albert Howard just recently died. But let me explain something to people about Albert Howard. Albert Howard was a phenomenal man. And the University of Chicago believes he was a phenomenal man. He started the Police Accountability Act. The lawyers and prosecutors in Illinois, they know that Albert Howard was a phenomenal man. He'd been striving for justice all his life. You know what Albert Howard did back in 1966? There was a lot of particularly black kids being murdered by the police in different neighborhoods. Albert Howard got two guys together along with himself. One was named Huey P. Newton, and the other one was named Bobby Seale. And they formed an organization called the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. That's what the Black Panther Party was named. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. I know you've been told all these different stories about the Black Panthers. You know, first of all, Black Panthers was not just a black organization. But the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, that was the total name of it. Albert Howard named it the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense in 1966 with Huey Newton and Bobby Seale. You know one thing that got them to start this was because there was a thing called drive-bys. What was a drive-by? The drive-by was when police officers used to drive by black neighborhoods and shoot guns into the schoolyards and kill kids. That was drive-by. They don't tell you about this, but this happened. And this is why the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense got started. As the years went on, things changed. The Black Panthers weren't no longer known as Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. The government said they were revolutionists and they were terrorists and all this stuff. So people started believing this. So at this time, some of the members of the Black Panthers started doing different things. Bobby Rush ran for Congress. As a matter of fact, he beat President Obama out for Congress in Illinois. As a matter of fact, he's a congressman that put in some of the mandate for the COVID-19 testers. Yes, Bobby Rush, former from the Black Panthers, who is a congressman in Illinois. Yes, he's in Washington. Albert Howard, he started the Police Accountability Clinic, saying that maybe some of these people need to have some type of education about what their jobs really are and how this system should work. These guys were former members of the Black Panthers. And the reason that they started the Black Panthers, as I said, it was to defend citizens against the police. And the heavy thing about it, one of Albert Howard's sayings was power to the people, and I heard them today at George Floyd's funeral. Someone said power to the people. Yes, power to the people. One thing George Floyd's death has brought some enlightenment where some people are paying attention to things that they didn't never know before. Like someone said to me today, I didn't know that the Black Panther Party was actually called the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. That's exactly what it was. Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. It was formed to protect the neighborhood from rogue police officers that were doing drive-bys, riding through neighborhoods, just taking targets at certain black guys and killing them. So when things change, some people don't even realize Bobby Rush, the congressman in the state of Illinois, was a former Black Panther Party member. People don't even know that Albert Howard, who started the greatest civil rights organization in legal history, the Police Accountability Clinic at the University of Chicago, was a former member of the Black Panther Party, a founder of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. So the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, because I'm going to give it its full name. I ain't going to shorten it like people say Black Panthers, Black Panther Party. No, the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. And Albert Howard, the attorneys that came up underneath the University of Chicago under the Police Accountability Clinic, have successfully prosecuted a police officer for shooting this boy in the back 16 times. Before someone came with the video, what it was, no one believed that this kid did not do something to deserve to be shot 16 times. Yes, oh yeah, he should have shot him 16 times. He came in to charge the police officer with a knife. He tried to attack the officer. The officer's life was in jeopardy. But when the video showed up, the video showed the boy walking down the street the other way with his back toward the officer, and the officer took target practice in this boy's back. If that video had never surfaced, that police officer would be on the police force right now instead of in prison. So Keith Ellison learned something from the Police Accountability Clinic. Be a vigorous prosecutor. Those police officers should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. There is no mitigation in first-degree murder. First-degree murder carries a mens rea with the actus reus. There is prima facie for a grand jury indictment. And also under the color of law that you guys seem like you didn't know about, under the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, whenever a police officer, their job is to protect and serve. When a police officer violates a citizen's civil rights, that civil rights are violated any time that the police officer deprives a citizen of life, liberty, or property. If a person is charged correctly, fine. But if anything that a police officer do to a citizen of the United States that is unlawful and results in criminal activity, that police officer is also automatically, get my drift, automatically, under the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, have automatically violated the civil rights of that citizen. This is another situation and a federal charge indictment. The state indictment for first-degree murder should not be 1 or 2 counts. It should be 5, 6, or 7 counts of first-degree murder. Instead, you down here charging them with 1 or 2 counts of second-degree murder. I'm going to say this here. Get in your law books. Learn. If you can't learn, call Rasul, Kwame Rasul. You know, call some of the students from from Chicago's Police Accountability Clinic. Or what you can do is you can even call George McMahon, and you can call me. If you don't know how to do it, I'll show you how it's done.